Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. My name is Louis Mendes. Hope you guys are all well on your Sunday morning. On today's show, then we'll be looking back at yesterday's 1-1 draw with Millwall at the Valley as the Addicts once again fail to end their winless run against their near neighbours. Joining me to look back at that game, first up is top right, Mr. Tom William. How you doing, Tom?
Yeah, I'm all right. Trying to find the positives in yesterday because I think there were some, but ultimately frustrated and annoyed again.
Yeah, it's like yesterday's performance and that again. I think we said this yesterday. Like you would take a positive from it, but you can't. I was gutted at full time, gutted because I honestly thought yesterday was going to be the day. Also, at the bottom of the screen there, a man who was giving the police the run around yesterday is Nathan Muller. Hey, dear Nath.
Yeah, not bad, mate. Living the dream. It was an interesting day yesterday. It was all full of action on and off the pitch, wasn't it? But yeah, not bad, mate. Had the usual phone call from the old man, rubbing it in, which is always nice to speak to my dad. Don't get me wrong, but not when they just scrape through a point. But yeah, we go again though, mate. But yeah, it was good to see Tom yesterday in the stand as well, which was nice to see his little face.
Yeah, if I were you, I'd be putting myself up for adoption at this rate. If my dad's a Millwall fan and we literally never beat him, I'll be like, this is enough is enough, right? So on today's show, then we'll hit the goals and the critical incidents from yesterday's game with Millwall from Charlton TV. Shortly, we're going to hear the reaction of the Addicts boss, Nathan Jones, and I spoke to Josh Edwards as well after yesterday's game. I want to hear from you guys. Also, everyone joining us in the chat. Robert, first one in there, saying so disappointed that we didn't get the win yesterday. I'm also worried that our forwards are not scoring. There's loads of you in there. Let us know your thoughts on yesterday's game. You can email us studio@charltonlive.co.uk. You can tweet us at Charlton Live, or you can add a live comment into the YouTube chat. Let us know your thoughts on the 1-1 draw. Tom, just before we hear the goals back from yesterday, and I said the critical incidents, a red card for Kane Ramsey. How do you sort of sum up your feelings on yesterday's game? Was the red card the pivotal moment for you?
Totally, yeah, 100%. I was looking at the stats, and the website I've got only breaks them down half by half, so I didn't break them down by after the 75th minute. But you look at the second half, and all the stats are in their favour in terms of possession, passing, all of that. First half, not the case. So yeah, I thought we were complete control is perhaps an overstretch, but I never felt like we were going to lose the game yesterday. And in fact, the only reason I thought we might draw the game is because it's Millwall and we never beat them. I think if we'd have been playing any of the other teams we've been playing this season, playing like that and a goal up, you'd back us to hold on to that 1-0 lead. And then a moment of stupidity from a player who, let's face it, has been one of our best players so far this season, but doesn't excuse it. And then the game completely turned. And as I said in the sort of intro, really, another point, another very, very good performance, showing we can compete with teams at this level. And let's not forget, Millwall almost made the playoffs last season. I know they had injuries and whatever, but, they're a good championship side. They've been in this division for a while. I thought we handled the occasion okay, apart from that one crazy moment. Got a deserved goal, and yeah, I think if it had been 11 men, exactly as Nathan Jones says, don't have a crystal ball, but it felt like if it had still been 11 and 11 for 15 minutes at the end, we would have held on. So yeah, ultimately, as I said, very, very frustrating, and obviously the fact that it's them, it hurts. But I think there are positives, and I think the way we've started the season, generally, the way we've come back from the international break, they are things we've got to cling on to because there's a good side there. But yeah, the fact that it's another game that's passed us by and perhaps a really good opportunity to do it, it hurts.
Excellent stuff. Well, let's have a listen back to the goals from Charlton TV yesterday. Then Brownie was alongside Terry and Greg.
Jones and Ramsey up from the back.
That near post space.
Coventry swings it in. Decent looking delivery. Bender palms it. And as far as Carey controls. Carey with the shot. Yeah! It's got in! Sonny Carey gives Charlton the lead on Derby Day. Bender with a punch. Carey controlled. And Carey managed to squeeze it beyond the Millwall defence and gives Charlton the lead here at the Valley.
So I said about 10 minutes ago, they're favourites for the first header. They're favourites to win that first ball into box. Can we secure the edge? And that's what can come from securing the edge. It's excellent from Carey. It comes at him quick. The first touch pops up in front of him. And that's how you stay composed on a shot. You just control your body. You make sure you get the right shot away. You get your foot over the top of the centre line and you drive it back into the danger area. It's gone through a lot of bodies. The keeper's claiming he was fouled. I'm not having none of that. And Charlton lead. It's a great little bit of skill and strike on the edge from Carey. And you can see what it means to him if you're watching pictures. And the Valley are up. 1-0 Charlton.
Good sliding challenge from Ramsey. Oh, and he didn't realise that he'd got the ball, and Maku gets it back. And this time, Ramsey takes him out. And
he's off.
He's in trouble because it's his second yellow, and he's off. Kane Ramsey. I don't think we can have too many arguments with that, because it was a sliding challenge that didn't make contact with the ball. And now Ramsey sees a red card.
Well, the argument he can have is the first one wasn't him, according to Stubbers. Oh, okay, he's retracting that. Okay, I didn't see we haven't got replays, so it's very difficult. But okay, he's gone. We readjust. There'll be movement on the sidelines for sure. And now you've got to see out the last 17 minutes plus add-ons with a man down, which sometimes in these circumstances makes you ultra alert defensively. But we shall see.
Once more. Now Brian on the left. Looks to send the ball into the box, and it's a good one. Lovely save from Kaminski in the first place, but he can't stop the second. And Bangora Williams has levelled things up here at the Valley.
Yeah. So now a case of 3 points turns into just not losing this game. We've got to regroup, reconcentrate, not allow any gaps.
I think the silence said it all, really. I timed it. It was 15 seconds of silence after the goal goes in before Terry or Brownie or anyone says anything. That's how I felt when that goal went in as well. Nath, should we have won yesterday? We got ourselves into the position where maybe we should have.
Yeah, I mean, potentially. I mean, we didn't create. I don't know what the XG was for both, but it wasn't like we had loads of chances. But we took our moment with Carey, and then just that final ball really wasn't really there after that. So, like in anything, you have a goal, you're a goal up. It's a very precarious position when you're only 1-0 up, and then you throw the red card in the mix, which, as Tom's already alluded to, as much as Kane's been, he's been praised, and rightly so, for his performances in the Charlton shirt. I think yesterday was a bit of a silly one, but he'll learn from it. But yeah, it wasn't. I mean, on the balance of play, I couldn't really see him scoring or Kaminski doing too much. But we've said that a lot this season in terms of Kaminski not having too much to do. He's been beaten by Weldy and that sort of stuff. But I felt comfortable at 1-0. I really did. If I thought, still, we've all said we ain't got a crystal ball, but we may, Kane Ramsey could have stayed on the pitch and still drew 1-1. We never know. But at that point in time, it was a massive swing of momentum. It then gets them to another sort of attacking option up front. We then try and see out the game. They have all the territory, push us back. And then it was just a case of, can we hold on? And we couldn't in the end. So I'm still trying to take a lot of the positives out of the game, which I think there were plenty of them. Again, structurally good, defensively good. But it's just that final end product that we're missing at the moment. So yeah, so that will come. I think I'm not worrying too much yet, but like I say, you're 1-0 up and you go down to 10 minutes, going to be a bit of a push. But I think looking at the stats, a draw was probably a fair result, maybe, but it's just a bit cruel of how it happened and how comfortable we were at that point. It's
always something against Millwall. Always, without fail, something happens. Like you get into the last 20 minutes, and I thought I could sense the tide turning a little bit before the red card when Alex Neil sort of changed the formation yesterday. I was working with Dean Kiley, and obviously the ex-pros are more tactically aware than we are as well, and he felt it as well. Like he was talking about the change in shape and how it gave Millwall an extra body, and I think sort of behind the striker, and I could sense it a little bit, but still without creating too many chances. But I mean, Kane Ramsey, he's already got the yellow card for that weird double challenge where him and Apter both took out a Marku, who was clearly their most dangerous player yesterday and looked a lively, a real handful. It was a good battle between the two. But the second one, he's dove in, sort of half won the first challenge, and then it's just gone to his head and he's gone to ground. I mean, just to put what he said on Instagram last night, Kane said, "Devastated about my decision making today. I cost the team 3 points. I'm sorry to all the fans and my teammates, especially with the multitude of the game. It's a learning curve for sure. I'll be back, and he will have to learn from it." So I didn't see Nathan's interview with Sky Sports, but I saw the quotes that some people put on social media. By the time Nathan came to speak to us, he'd calmed down a little bit, but he's never one to sort of shirk away from telling the players when there's a learning curve to be had yesterday. And yeah, Kane, he's put his hands up, and he has been one of our best players this season. So I'm not going to go over the top yesterday, but it was Charlton against Millwall. Someone had to do something, and it was Kane's turn.
It's always a Charlton player, isn't it? That's the problem with us. It's always one of our players. And yeah, again, I've already said it was a stupid challenge, so I don't want to sort of pile in on him too much more. I think you talk about the battle they were having down that side. I think that's the first time I've seen him sort of struggle in a game, and maybe the attacker get the better of him, or certainly it was much more 50-50 than it has been in other games as well. And yes, he cost us in as much as he made the decision and got sent off, but we could have defended it better anyway. And there's other things that could have happened. So the blame doesn't lie entirely at his door, but it's frustrating because it's another derby game where another thing like that has happened, and we've seen it before. No doubt we'll see it again. And yeah, a bit like I was saying earlier, if it's not Millwall and that happens, it's a stupid challenge and you're annoyed, but you kind of move on from it. But because it's them and because of the record over the past few years, it makes it even harder to take. But look, would I rather have Ramsey in the side going forwards? Obviously, yes. So, and he's saved us multiple times already this season. It's a stupid one. I do hope he learns from it. I think he knows what he's done wrong there. And yeah, it was exactly as you said, really. And I did feel a little bit like momentum was turning. You talk about what Dino was saying with you on commentary, but a bit like you, I still wasn't particularly worried. They obviously had the goal disallowed as well, but I just didn't feel like, I felt like we were still defending okay. We were doing what we do, which is dig in, all get back, work hard, snuffle out chances when we can. But the moment that happened, and I think you could sense it in the whole crowd, everyone went, that's the Millwall moment again. And that was the first time I heard the Millwall fans all day. I don't know, obviously, where you sit, you might have heard them a little bit, but in the covered end, you just couldn't hear them all game, which, I sort of am here to slag off Millwall fans, but that's not necessarily the point I'm making here. I just thought, there's been much smaller crowds from much smaller teams that have made amazing atmospheres down there. And I was surprised and disappointed that Millwall didn't do that, given it was a derby. But the moment that red card changes, they get loud, we get anxious. And then it was all them from then on, wasn't it? The possession stats, as I say, for that last 15 minutes must have been 80-20 or something. And then you just wait. We were almost waiting for the goal to come. I don't know if the players would have been feeling like that, but that's how it felt in the fan base. It was just, they're going to score. And I was kind of, when it went in, I was almost not relieved, obviously, but it came earlier than I expected, which on the one hand was like, okay, it wasn't a very last minute. But then at the other hand, I was like, that means there's still time for them to get another. And I was kind of grateful by the end that they didn't, which is maybe why I'm not as negative as some, because we could easily have gone on and lost that game and we didn't. Doesn't make it any easier, but again, I'm just trying to find positives in what was a difficult afternoon, especially second half.
Yeah, I spoke to Alex Neil yesterday after the game, and he sort of said if they had another 5 minutes, he felt they would have gone on to win it. And I kind of agree, like the way the pressure was being piled on at the end. And there was a real level of anxiety every time Millwall had an attack in the ground, not necessarily in the team, but the goal we conceded, it was disappointing to see the way that Kundal had the space from that ball in from Brian to get the shot away. And then I've seen a couple of questions about Kaminsky. I think that'd be a bit harsh on that one, because he's had to save one from really close range. No defensive protection there, just to keep it out. Mate, you always get people questioning, can he push it wider? But I really think that's a bit harsh in that one. There was a decision where he punched rather than caught earlier in the half that was a bit weird. But I think the goal itself is probably harsh. But yeah, it's just a shame that with all those people back there, Kundal was able to find the space and Brian was able to pick him out, Nathan. And I guess maybe at some point that's going to happen when your back's to the wall like that. You're just going to lose concentration at some point, and that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. And from that range, it's more of a reactionary sort of save, really. And it's all well and good us trying to say, we should palm it out wide, which is in hindsight, everyone's got a degree in hindsight, aren't they? But it was disappointing, but I wouldn't say he was solely at fault. It's just one of those that reaction, you save it and it's going to go anywhere. But we were deep anyway. So, and as we've all said, it probably, as the half went on, it was probably a bit of an inevitability that it was going to happen. It might not have done, but it did. But disappointing because as Tom said, it was a weird one because it was still, when I looked at the clock when Kane got sent off, and I was sort of hoping that was only like 5 minutes to go, but 20 minutes is a long time, especially in not only are you physically tired, you're mentally drained as well. It's a big day, it's a big occasion. The Millwall fans were surprisingly silent. What we've always said already, but it's a long day mentally and physically, and we just couldn't keep it out. But we got to try and take the positives. At least we didn't lose, which I'll probably be about 80 when we beat them, which I probably won't be able to do much to celebrate. So probably be sipping green tea or whatever. But I wouldn't blame committee too much. But in theory, for most of the season, he ain't really done much. Really, he's not really had a lot to do. Really, apart from pick out the ball with Leicester and obviously QPR was a bit of an odd one. But yeah, I wouldn't blame him too much.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Someone said a bit earlier, and rightly, because I definitely am, that we all sound a bit negative. 76 Rufus says everyone sounds so sad and downbeat, but I was at full time yesterday. I really, really was. I could feel my face actually as I was walking out of the ground, going back to the press room. I could feel I had a real frown on my face, and then you get caught up in all the nonsense outside trying to walk back round where it was so badly organised yesterday. We'll talk about that with the police. We'll talk about that later on in the show, but it just caused such bottlenecks coming out of the ground, and I think it could have been considered dangerous. But we should look at the positives of particularly the first half. Like, we got a goal with Carey. Carey had a really good game yesterday. I think we were correctly in front at half time. Again, like, take the rivalry and Millwall out of it, and just look at it as a game against an established Championship side who finished 8th last season, and you go, yeah, it's another good performance. It's just one where, as a side that we're learning coming into the Championship, that you moments define games, and we've got to do them better. So you can't get sent off. You got to take your chances when they come. You got to defend your box when it happens and not switch off for 1 second. And that first half, the atmosphere inside the ground when that goal went in from Carey, we are back. That is the good thing. Like, we are back in a Championship. We're back with big crowds. The atmosphere was great. We're playing some decent stuff, bits to take care of. But that first half, Tom, was really good from us.
Yeah, excellent. Absolutely excellent. And I talked about the international break maybe coming at the right time, but what was positive was we just kept up the performances, maybe QPR slightly off, but the rest of them, the Leicester game, the Watford game, it was the same. We started with high intensity, and with a better team for that first half. And as I said right at the start, I am trying to find the positives. And if you look at any of the things that people have spoken about that are maybe weaknesses or the bits where we've struggled so far this season, well, TC had his best game, showed why he was in the side. People are clambering for Nibs just because he scored a last-minute goal against Watford, I think, and maybe a couple of other bits. But Sonny Carey owned that spot yesterday. Doherty was excellent yesterday, again, just increasing his performance level game in, game out. And Charlie Kelman, okay, look, he didn't score again, but he was much more involved. I said on Thursday, one of the things we need to do is try and get our strikers just more in the game. And Kelman was much more in the game again. The thing that's missing is exactly what you've just said, moments. I think on the pitch against possibly all five, maybe not QPR, we have been the better side for more of the game than the opposition. Certainly against Watford, definitely against Bristol and Leicester, and then again yesterday. But we're not taking our chances and we're not getting those moments. At some point, obviously, if we're 20 games down the season and that's still happening and we're just drawing games or maybe sneaking the odd win, that's a worry. But I'm just convinced that at some point that will turn. And if you keep putting in performances like this, we'll be fine. I don't know where we are in the table, 17th, 18th, something like that. If we're there at the end of the season, fine. For the first season back in the Championship, just survive. And we're showing that even when we're not scoring the goals, we've got the performances to be able to easily do that. So there are lots and lots of positives from yesterday, as there have been from the majority of games this season so far. But it's your local rivals and everything that comes with that. And look, I was as gutted as everybody else yesterday, but we've got to try and focus on those, because we're now going to go to, just like we did with QPR off the back of Coventry, we're going to go to a Sheffield United side that have just been hammered and are going to want to respond. And games don't get any easier at this level. You don't get a breather. And you've just got to hope that the players don't get too down about maybe not having as many points as they'll feel they deserve. Because goals will come, performances just need to be maintained. I said after the Watford game, if we perform like that all season, we'll be fine. And 5 games in, we pretty much have done. So, yeah, I've got every faith in this team and Jones. It is just those moments. And they'll come. I'm sure they'll come. And the team are still gelling as well. But, and back to Carey's goal that you mentioned as well. Just a well-taken strike. Another player just getting up and running for us. Saw somebody on Twitter say he was sort of the underwhelming signing for them. I don't know if I was underwhelmed, but he certainly wasn't the marquee signing. But as I say, game in, game out, he takes the ball, he drives forward, he does lots of good stuff behind those front two. And his link up with Kelman and TC yesterday was excellent, and he thoroughly deserved his goal.
Yeah, he was really good, and it's a great finish. And I'm watching it back this morning. Actually, the touch to control. Didn't realise at the time how difficult that touch was actually to bring it down and control. And then I think he sort of hit it on the half volley. But this is where I thought our luck against Millwall might be changing. Like that ball's got no right to nestle in the bottom corner when there's about 50 blokes in between him and the goal, but it's gone in. One thing I did notice, I don't know if anyone else has noticed this. Lloyd Jones tries to claim it, so it sort of went past Lloyd and he went to flick towards it. And Lloyd, at one point, he puts his hand up and points to himself. But after a while, he realised, no one's buying that. And he just goes to join the celebration with Sonny Carey. And like I said, the noise inside the ground yesterday was fantastic. When that goal went in, it just felt like a massive moment. But yeah, not to be yesterday. Joe says that we do need to start converting good performances into point returns. We should have more than a single win this year. That's true. But the other Joseph says that on a positive, we're above Wrexham and playing good football. It's just frustrating that the results haven't reflected our performances, which is true. Mark mentions here about TC. Says it was huge positive yesterday. He was borderline unplayable in the first half. Not bad considering he played 53 minutes in Jamaica on Wednesday. And answered some critics yesterday, I think. All through the game, in the second half, like when we're down to 10, he had that chance where Leeburn held the ball up well and he sort of slashed it a little bit high and a little bit wide. But yeah, TC was bang at it yesterday, wasn't he, Dave?
Yeah, he was, to be fair. And like I said, obviously he would have been disappointed with the QPR game. It wasn't just his fault, that we lost the whole game. Granted, he was part of the issue of conceding. But yesterday, I was so happy for him because he could easily go one of two ways. He could either knock his confidence, but I thought he was brilliant yesterday. And it shows what he can offer and why he's in that team. Granted, his goals and assists needs to be better, which I'm sure he knows that. But he has something in the squad that we don't really have other than him. Tanto's a bit of a different player, but he causes so many problems where he can move around the pitch and he can float all over. And I thought it was a big danger yesterday, and against, to be fair, 2 big old units at centre half. I think that's the biggest centre halves I've seen as a pair. Absolute monsters, really. You just need Dan Burn in there and just be like, well, there's no point playing against these lot. But I thought he'd done really well yesterday, so I was really happy for him. And someone just said there, he played some minutes in for Jamaica, which might be mad actually, because we could have 4 people at the World Cup. It's a bit mad, isn't it? Really, but that's for another day. But yeah, I'm really happy for TC. But it's just it's trying to get him in positions where he can be effective and to try and get those goals and assists, which he needs to add to his game. Which he knows that, and we know that he can do it.
Yeah, and Tom, you mentioned yesterday, and I agreed with this. Kelman, I thought that was his best game for us. He looked sharper. As a couple of people have said it in the chat, he looked a bit sharper yesterday. A couple of people saying like we can't just. He said he was feeding off scraps. Dickie D said he thought Leeburn wasn't good enough. I thought Leeburn done fine when he came on yesterday. The hold up for the chance for TC was really good. Kelman. It was interesting in the press conference yesterday. So we'll hear a little bit of of my interview with Nathan, but actually the press conference does go on for another 10 minutes after, and obviously I can't put the whole thing in. I think maybe I'll try and clip this out for Thursday, actually, because it is an interesting chat that was had. But basically, I mean, I said it on commentary with Dino. I said I think that was probably Kelman's best game for us. Came down and Rich asked a similar question to Nathan Jones. Said, "Did you think that was his best game?" And then another sort of a national journalist asked Nathan if he thinks Kelman's good enough for the Championship based on what he's seen so far. So I mean, obviously the timing is a bit weird because that was probably his best game for us, but at the same time he ain't scored yet, I guess, is why that came up. And Nathan, it was a very robust defence of him. But yeah, yesterday I thought there was a couple of times he looked to be latching onto balls where Bender had to come out of his area and deal with them. Like there was a lovely little touch on the edge of the box where he just tried to turn it around the corner, and I think it ended up hitting Carey on the shin when he was going to play in someone else. Like there was a few moments that it definitely stood out to me that he looked fitter, he looked sharper, he looked more involved yesterday, and you've got to take that as a positive.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I said on Thursday's show. That's the one thing for me that's not quite clicking yet, is getting our forwards involved in the game more. Look, ultimately they're going to be judged on scoring goals, so you know I'm not going to defend him too much in that sense. But he's coming to a new side, he's been getting up to speed. And for the first couple of games where he's been playing, I've been relatively disappointed in him. I was weirdly watching the highlights of the Orient final on Friday and seeing how involved he was in a lot of the Orient play at Wembley, going forwards and dropping in and finding little pockets and getting on the ball and, like you say, turning on the ball and then going forwards. And we just hadn't really seen that. But yesterday we did. He looked more alert. He looked sharper. Nathan presumably has been working on that in the international break. And he just looked more alert to everything. And I'm sure the goals will come as a result of that. I was shocked. I could not believe it. I was expecting Leeburn and Tanto yesterday. I think we'd all spoken about it on Thursday's show. I think, playing a homegrown talent, particularly whose dad has also played for us, and with the physical strength he brings in Leeburn, seemed tailor-made to me. And then with Tanto's strength, I thought TC coming back from Jamaica and being the size he is was going to just get bullied by Cooper at the back, like Nath was talking about the size of them two at the back. But it actually worked really well. I was very impressed with both of them. And then, I'm surprised about the claim that Leeburn wasn't great. He's coming on, he's got a thankless task because he's not got anyone anywhere near him. And I thought there was a couple of times where he did his best to try and get on the ball and slow the game down and all of that sort of stuff. So, yeah, look, I think Nathan is still kind of figuring that out. It seemed to be from the start of the season that TC and Kelman was what he wanted as his starting two, and he's been pretty consistent in that. And maybe they will grow and start to pick up the goals. Doherty's improved game by game, so the same could be said for the front two. And as I say, ultimately they're going to be judged on goals. And if we're talking about this same conversation in 10 games and we're saying, well, Kelman looks a little bit more in the game, but we still haven't scored, different question. But at the moment, I'm not worried about him. I think he showed much more yesterday and showed he can compete. I still think I see a lot of this in the chat, and I think we said it on Thursday as well. I just miss Matty Godden. I know there's a thing you talk about a lot when players are injured. They kind of get better because they're out of the side. But with Godden, I really do feel like he's one of those players that he only needs half a chance, whereas the others maybe need two. And I don't know what's going on with him still, but I do miss him. And I just feel like that we don't seem to have a striker that if it's just bobbling around like that can take a chance. And I know he's older and stuff, but I still feel like there's a player in there that would make a difference. But yeah, really pleased with Kelman yesterday, really pleased. And hopefully that just gives him confidence, even though he didn't score, to kind of kick on now over the next few weeks.
Yeah, that thing I say about players getting better when they're not in the side, to be honest, I reserve that for the bad players. Like Matty Godden, we know how good he is. Like there's no doubt that having Godden available would be big. I mean, Dean was just asking in the chat, when's he going to be back along with Berry? No, absolutely no idea. Nathan won't tell us, and it's his prerogative not to do so. So at one point, it'll pop up and it'll be a lovely surprise for all of us, which we can look forward to. Jake said Kelman was superb. He was unselfish and worked his socks off. I'd have him work with Carey and Apter in a triangle. Mark said Leeburn draws fouls with his close dribbling, but surely Tanto needs to do something in training to convince Nathan more. Gary said he thought Coventry's set pieces were hitting the first man again. Yeah, I can't remember. Obviously, the goal came from the corner, but we always want more from set pieces, don't we? That's always the thing. You sort of mentioned it as well, Tom. Actually, when the teams came out, I'm normally quite reserved with looking at the team selection before a game, I don't normally have major opinions, but before the game, I was genuinely shocked, and I sort of said it to a couple of people in the press room, like, I'm really not sure about this starting lineup front two. But after half an hour, I was like, no, once again, I'm wrong. You know, Nathan knows how to manage his team, and I thought, yeah, the players I was concerned about and not sure how they'd get on. I thought they both looked fine yesterday, so yeah, I was pleased with that. Yesterday, I mean, Redmond's saying, to be honest, none of the forwards are good enough yet. Some need to adapt to the level, and new ones need to learn the style and what is asked of them in that role. We need to be patient. I mean, is that will happen, Nathan, I guess? Are we still hoping that's going to grow? We saw the team evolve last season, and we just have to hope it happens again. And like I say, you've got to take a lot of positives from the way that Kelman and TC both played yesterday. That looks like they've had an international break. Obviously, TC actually went away, but Kelman in particular, who's had a couple of weeks of work on a training ground, looked better. So that's got to be a good thing.
Yeah, he did look better, and I think, I was surprised as well with the lineup and stuff. But then when you look at their back four, they had no pace whatsoever. I think I've got more pace than any of them four at the back, but they were big old units, and then I think we were playing into their hands a little bit first. I get trying to turn them around or trying to diags, but it was just going straight to their two centre halves, and they were just eating them up. But I think, yeah, Kelman is looking sharp. I can see what he offers. But you've got competition in there with, obviously, Tanto's not really featured much, which I thought he was going to start yesterday, being ex-Millwall. Maybe he had a little bit of something, a point to prove. But yeah, no, Kelman's getting sharp, and it's going to take time. Like last year, we were just basically playing, TC and Godden consistently, and they built up a bit of a relationship. So it's about get Kelman understanding how TC works and vice versa, and Leeburn, Nibs. We've got a lot of different options now, and it's going to take some time for everyone to start gelling properly. But at the same time, we need to start, delivering soon in terms of output and in terms of goals, because we can't go throughout the season and just relying on 1-0 and being solid for every game, because we are going to concede goals and we're going to need to score more than one goal a game in a lot of games. But yeah, it's positive signs. I'm not worried yet. Kelman did look sharper yesterday. I just think there was I think a lot of people have said already, the amount of clear-cut chances we create is quite small. But again, I'm not worried about that too much at the moment, but we've got time for it to improve for sure.
Excellent. Right, let's have a listen to what the Addicts boss Nathan Jones had to say after yesterday's draw with Millwall. Caught up with him in the press room after the game. Nathan, it's a late 1-1 draw against Millwall. How did you see it today?
First and foremost, I'm proud of the performance up to about 74 minutes. And even after 74 minutes, I'm proud of the performance, because it took a red card for us to draw the game today. Felt we were comfortable. Again, I'm just feeling not being disrespectful to anyone, but I didn't see us conceding today. Once we got the goal, just wanted to go on and get the next one, which we didn't, and we couldn't do. But felt we were comfortable, and it was going to take something like a set play or a moment of madness, and we got a moment of madness.
Is that how you view the decision from Kane Ramsey's going for that second challenge there?
When you're on a booking and when you think, and he did it just before, went to ground and come out with it, and then to lunge in, you're risking something. You have to be cleverer than that. Top defenders stay on their feet. They make people work for something. When they have to go to ground, it's last resort, or they know they can win it. But today, when you're on a booking, you can't do that, and it's a learning curve for him. He's a young boy. He's learning his trade. He has so much ability. He's been outstanding for us in terms of everything. But that was a learning curve, because that was categorically the turning point of the game.
Has he sort of put his hands up in the dressing room after that?
Well, he didn't need to put his hands up.
The performance overall has obviously had a lead going into half-time. You said you're proud of what you got from your team today?
Yeah, I didn't feel, apart from a counter-attack, I didn't feel, they set up, left two up. The left winger, Imaku, stayed in the pocket. But if we'd had moments, we got in so many times first half, but without having an end product. If we do that, then we're ahead comfortably by half time. But we didn't do that, so we didn't show moments of quality which we need to. But we got the goal eventually, and then I see us I'm not there thinking we need to change it, we need to do this, we need to do that. I'm there trying to make positive changes to get the second goal, like in terms of things. And I just didn't see us. I just didn't see us conceding. They needed something to turn for them, and I felt that we gifted them that.
Should probably have more points than you have had based on the performances so far this season. Is that fair?
But it is. But it shoulda, woulda, coulda. This is this is the Championship. You don't get gifted anything. It's a relentless, wonderful league, and you have to earn it. You have to be a bit of know-how, a bit more knowledge than we, in terms of stuff. And we're evolving. So first and foremost, we have to get to the level, and which we have. We are comfortable with the level, not a problem. The last 2 home games here, we should have 6 points. Categorically should have 6 points, but we don't. We take 1, and that's the learning curve. We think, well, why? Well, in the home game, we weren't clinical enough. We got beaten by a worldly strike, and then today was just a moment of madness. Not demonstrating an ounce, a bit more quality. Now, look, we have to step up to the level. We have to get to the level. We have to demonstrate more composure, more quality to go away from teams, and then. Look, then we'll become the team we are. But we are a team in evolving. It's a new group. We just stepped up to the level. But we are sitting here now, the second home game running, and we are devastated that we haven't won the game because the performance level merited both.
Does it feel worse because it is the local derby? Alex Neil's just talking about not wanting to be the man who lost the record. I guess you would love to be the man who broke the record without a win.
In all honesty, our crowd was magnificent. The atmosphere was brilliant today. Credit to Millwall as well. And I know it's difficult for an opposing manager, a Charlton manager praising Millwall, but the atmosphere was absolutely outstanding. I want to win football games, whatever games they are. Yes, it would have been a nice side thing to be the one that broke that, and we'll have another opportunity of doing that. But we should have today. I'm more concerned with certain things because I want us to be a certain team. I want us to do certain stuff. And today we did so much well. We did so much deserving of the 3 points. But when you gift teams at this level something, then they will punish you. They will punish you, and that's the level. The higher you go up, Premier League is ruthless. You give people space. Next thing you know, you're kicking off again. That's what happens, and the Championship's not far off.
PSF Steel Limited is a trade supplier of steel fabrication and erection services to the new build, construction and refurbishment market in southern England. With their unrivaled depth of experience, they excel at providing their customers with high quality and cost-effective steel fabrication solutions. Their customers include national and regional house builders, such as Barratt Homes, Bellway Homes, the Vistry Group and Taylor Wimpey. They pride themselves on their service-based ethos and commitment to customer service excellence, which includes full technical backup and on-site services and support. If you would like more information, go to www.psfsteel.co.uk. That's www.psfsteel.co.uk.
Hello fellow addicts, I'm so excited to tell you all about our micropub, the River Ale House. The River Ale House is based in East Greenwich. It has 6 Pub of the Year awards, an ever-changing selection of amazing beer. It's owned by Charlton fans, walkable to the ground in just 20 minutes with buses that go direct to the Valley too. If your matchday routine includes a drink with your friends, you must join your fellow addicts in the River. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to Charlton Live on your Sunday morning. Just before the break there, we heard from the Addicts boss, Nathan Jones, as Derek says in the chat there. Personally, I think it's a great start to unbeaten run against Millwall. Well, 5 years this unbeaten run's been going on now. So don't hear him chirping away anymore, do you? But yeah, Nathan Jones after yesterday's game. I mean, he can't he calmed down a little bit on the whole Kane Ramsey stuff based on what he apparently said on Sky, Tom. But I guess he sort of summed it up how you have to. You got to sum it up as a football match rather than a game against Millwall. But deep down, I think he would have loved to have been the man that had broken that record against them.
Yeah, of course he would. But he's kind of done the opposite of what we were doing on Thursday. And we said about it as fans, you know, we were building this game up. And you were right to say, but we have to as fans, because otherwise what's the point? And that's totally right. But as a manager, if he can just treat this post-match as just another game, going back to what we were saying, if we were analysing this exact result and exact game against any other opposition, I think we wouldn't be buzzing, obviously, but we would be more positive than we are. He has to treat it like that. He absolutely has to, because there's a lot of positives for his players to take from that. And he doesn't want them going into Sheffield United next week thinking like we've thrown it away against a rival. He wants to take the positives from this game and kick on. So yeah, like you say, very measured. I appreciate he's had a bit of time before he does that interview, but yeah, look, the way he sums up games, usually I agree with. He doesn't very often come up with excuses, or certainly hasn't so far this season. I think, I've left games thinking something, and then when I see the Nathan Jones presser, he's pretty much saying the same thing, which clearly suggests I should be managing the club. But it's just, comforting that what we're seeing is the same thing, because sometimes you go into a game and you think, one thing, and then manager says something completely different. But I think we're all aligned. You were talking about us being back. I think it's all part of that. Like, the fan base is up. Jones is seeing good performances from his team. All this stuff is coming together, and it goes back to one of the things you said a little bit earlier. It's just moments. That's all we're missing, really. It's just that. Everything else in the performances and everything is there. It's and you just got to hope that clicks at some point. But it doesn't sort of excuse Ramsey or anything like that. We all know that was a silly challenge, and no more so than him himself. And as I say, we go again next week. It's another game. They come thick and fast. And again, as I said, no real easy games at this level. Sheffield United should have been one. They're bottom of the league. They haven't got a point. And now that's going to be a tough game. So, it's relentless, isn't it? But it's what we want. It's what we want as fans.
No, we're joined by a Millwall fan in the chat. Smithers says, we didn't deserve anything from the game. We played the wrong tactics, and you can deal with long balls all day. Campbell and Ramsey, impressed for yourselves. Thanks for your chat there, Smithers. Dean says, Jones makes a good point about how the club is now and the fan base as to when he came in. 9,000 crowns with no atmosphere. It's a completely different animal now in the space of 18 months. But really, it's in the space of 10 months, because you're going back to December and you're seeing how well the club has changed in that time. I know, obviously, like, Nathan will have laid the groundwork before then, but for the way it's actually turned since then is remarkable. And it is, it's good to be coming out of a game frustrated against a side that finished top half championship last season because we didn't win. And I have to get that in my head. And maybe by about Thursday or Friday, that will click in my head. But at the moment, I'm still like gutted. I did want to talk, Nathan, about your experience yesterday. Now, I'm a little bit insulated from all this crap because I get to games ridiculously early, as everyone knows, and I go for my breakfast, and then I'm in the ground at least 2 hours before kickoff, and then I don't leave till much later. So by the time it was time for me to leave, I walk up to the Standard and get the bus from there. So it was just a normal day for me. There was a few dodgy looking characters knocking about, but I'll just walk back to the bus, and I was fine. But I did get caught up a little bit in the nonsense after the game, and it came out Friday, and we all knew something like this was going to happen. But again, the Greenwich police had decided that we have to be treated like criminals and walked around the long way because Millwall are so scary that we have to funnel them away and get them away as quickly as possible, and we have to bend over backwards for them. It's just the way that the police manage the crowd. It's a difficult situation because the away end, there's no other way for them to go. They have to walk up Floyd Road. So the only other thing is, do they get held back or whatever? But this is what the police decide. So it's annoying and it's frustrating and it's embarrassing, really, that we have to do this. But then the actual management of it after the game, like there was people from a Millwall persuasion who were able to get back down to Charlton from the other side. There was this situation in the southeast corner of the ground where somehow the gate somehow got opened, and there was a meeting there with very little stewarding and protection. And then, I mean, tell us a little bit about your experience after the game, Dave, because it sounds like you went round the houses. You literally, I've never heard of this. You ended up getting kettled into a pub. You were forced to go into a pub by the police, which, well, it sounds like a dream, to be fair. But what happened yesterday? And was it as badly organised as it sounded?
Yeah, it was. And do you know what? Like, so when we came out, you've got the police liaison officers, which go home and away, so they know who the Charlton fans are and whatnot. So, and I was obviously, just because we've just conceded a goal, I was a bit irate anyway. And I was just sort of explaining the point. Like, I know it wasn't their decision, as in that sole police officer that I was moaning at, but it's just annoying because I think come January, we all know what's going to happen in January when we go there. They're not going to march them like all the way around the houses. We're going to be kept in. So I was just sort of saying, like, well, surely it's easier to police them when they're in the stand for an hour or whatever. But anyway, they decided against that. And then when people came out, people were just like, no, we're not going to go all the way down the Oak and then walk down Woolwich. And then we tried going through Ransom Walk. And then they weren't doing it. I was just like, it's just, why should we? Like, we're at home. Like, it's not like, they're big and scary, Millwall, are they? It's just like, we're not in the 1980s anymore. And I know you're going to have some sort of hooligans or whatever you want to call the Stone Island crew or whatever they are. But, so in the end, it's just we went where the burger van is. We ended up jumping over the wall to go through Ransom Walk. And at that point, obviously, the police officer on the horse got a bit excited and I got a bit of a whack on the leg. Nothing major. I wouldn't do anything. I was just trying to jump over the wall so I can go and have a beer, really. But yeah, no, there was some bits where there was a young Charlton fan that got sort of knocked over by the police horse, and then walking back down to the Rose of Denmark, someone just barged into him. They were a bit happy. Do you know what I mean? They were a bit much, which I know they're trying to do it, but there weren't really there weren't any issues with Millwall fans. It was just like people trying to explain, why should we have to go all the way around? And then we ended up, and then I think some Millwall fans managed to come from the other way. So then there was a lot of police outside the Rose of Denmark. We was just in the car park bit, and then they were sort of fenced that off with police. Then I had a beer in there. Then you weren't allowed outside. So I had another Guinness. Oh God! And then yeah, it was just a bit weird, It was just like, well, and then I ended up back in the Oak until an unreasonable hour.
Did you, as it says in the chat here from Alan, when you got home to Tash, did you tell her? Oh, the police said I wasn't allowed to leave till nearly midnight. So yeah, that's why I had to have 15 pints.
Yeah, so I was just not another one. I guess I'll have to, I suppose, won't I?
Yeah.
It was just
the thing that I don't like the sound of. So Dean and Tom's mentioned it in our little chat as well. Like, so thousands of Charlton fans are walking down past the Oak up towards the railway crossing, and there's cars coming down. Like, stupidity. That you have to close the road. Like, that's genuinely a safety issue. So I know there was a lot going on yesterday, and I understand that, and obviously not just in the whole of London. There's loads of games. There's all sorts going on yesterday, but it's got to be planned better. Like, I understand there's things you have to do to make it safe, and if you have to keep Charlton and Millwall apart, then maybe there's no other way. But if you're doing that, then you've got to close the road. These things have to be thought about, because I don't want to see Charlton fans put in danger. And that's, and through nothing that Millwall fans have done as well. Like, I was like to say, there was a kickoff in the southeast corner, and I'm sure people who wanted to get involved in that, I'm sure did. And there was a Millwall fan in the home end who, silly things happen when that sort of stuff happens. But the 99% of people, Charlton and Millwall, who went to that game yesterday, they wanted to watch the football. They wanted to throw a few signs at each other and have a laugh, but they don't want to get involved in stuff. And the fact is, it was quite poorly managed afterwards yesterday by the police. I'm saying, not by the club, but by the police. It's disappointing to have seen that. Hopefully it'll be managed better next time, but we'll see. 76 Roof was saying like people ended up just giving up, and he ended up going for a McDonald's as well. I mean, again, to go back to your wife, and so the police insisted that I went out for a curry after the game, so that's why I got home so late. But there we go. Right, we've got loads of your messages to come to still, but let's hear from Josh Edwards. So Josh was the first person we spoke to after the game yesterday. He came in pretty quickly, so I think you can sense in his voice and my voice that this was quite near after the full-time whistle, and we both sound pretty gutted.
Draw with Millwall today. What did you make of it?
I think we gave a real good account of ourselves. I think we were the better team for the majority of the game. Obviously, the red card changed the game, and we were penned in, obviously, and they had a lot of the ball, obviously, which you expect when they're down to 10 men. I think we're just disappointed we couldn't see the game over the line. But the boys finished it well, so credit to him, but I think we're overall disappointed with the result.
I was going to say, what's the mood in the dressing room come so close to a result against a local rival?
Yeah, no, obviously we knew the importance of the game for the fans. I think we've definitely gave a real good account of ourselves, and we proved that we could stand up to that task well. again, though, just the disappointment for them that we couldn't see the game out. And yeah, in the dressing room, obviously gutted, but plenty more games to go and plenty more games to go get more points. So we'll look to go do that. But yeah, right now it's a bit disappointed. Yeah.
So you feel the red card sort of changed the complexion in that second half?
Yeah, I think so. I think we had real good spells. Obviously, Millwall was still a threat certain parts of the second half, obviously. But I thought we dealt with it fairly well. But yeah, then when the red card happens, kind of changes the wee things. We need to make a few changes so we can try and stay compact and try and see the game out. But obviously, yeah, we've lost that goal, and yeah, it's just really disappointing.
Has Kane said anything about the decision in the dressing room?
No, obviously he'll know himself. He's made a mistake, but he's been brilliant for us. So obviously we're all gutted and that sort of thing, but we'll back him all the way, and there's absolutely no way we'll turn on him or anything like that. He's made a decision we can all live by. He's been absolutely brilliant for us. So yeah.
Take from the overall performance, obviously getting that lead in the first half as well.
Yeah. Obviously we wanted to start well. I think we did that. So we wanted an early goal, which would have really helped us on our way. So we didn't get that straight away, but we kept going. We kept on top, and I thought we deserved the goal. It's a good finish for Sonny as well. It's a great finish. So yeah, we're delighted with that. And then I thought, to be honest, we probably could have got another one before the break. But I think we've been lucky. One of their corners, I think they went close as well. So yeah, we could easily have been level at half time. So we were buzzing to go in a goal up, and yeah, I think we came out and started the second half well as well. So
it's first experience, obviously, of the South East London derby. What did you make of the atmosphere from both fans, I guess?
Yeah, no, I was just saying that's probably my favourite atmosphere I've had so far at the Valley. I really enjoyed that one. It's a really good game to be a part of, and yeah, obviously the build-up was. It's been a long time coming. We've been itching to get back on the pitch after a couple of weeks ago at QPR when we let ourselves down a little bit. So we were desperate to get back on the pitch, and I think we showed that the first half of how well we started and that sort of thing. But again, yeah, it's just disappointing, not a win for the fans.
And just finally, how have you assessed the start to the Championship season then after 5 games?
Yeah, to be honest, I think we all know we should have more points than we do. I think we've proven to everyone that we're not just here to make up the numbers, and we can compete at this level. It's just now we need to start putting teams away when we're on top in the game and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's been a good start for us. I think obviously we should have more points. So yeah, we're a wee bit disappointed with that, but I think we've proved that we can compete at this level.
There we go, Josh Edwards and myself in joyful conversation after yesterday's 1-1 draw with Millwall. Joe Puddyfoot says I sounded like we've been relegated. Sam says, we've lost by 4 goals. I mean, it was a tough one to take yesterday. But yeah, Josh, good of him to come and speak to us. I don't know if it's been officially announced yet, but I mean, it's been brewing since last night. But it sounds like Ruben Selles has been sacked ahead of our trip to Sheffield United next week, and the word last night was that Chris Wilder is going to go back. I think it's Rob Stanton at the BBC Radio Sheffield who was reporting that there was a reasonable chance. I mean, it's like you got sacked by them like 3 weeks ago, and you're coming crawling back like you just can't get enough. Like it's a strange one, but the timing of that, Tom, before we go there next week is just perfect, really, isn't it? Just the new manager bounce, and it's a manager that they love, so that's great.
I watched the Ipswich Sheffield game on Friday night, and I was texting my family that were there. And by the 5th goal, I was like, "Come on now, just give them a chance." Because as I say, we saw this the other week with Coventry and QPR, and they get absolutely hammered and then come and rebound. And this time, you've got the added bonus for them of one of their greatest ever managers, loved by the fans, coming back. So yeah. If that does happen, which it very much sounds like it does, then obviously you can't write off next week. We'll go there and we'll give a good account. And look, this is a side that have got no points and are low on confidence, but couldn't have happened at a worse time for us, could it? So not pleased about that, but there we go, out of our control, and Jones is just going to focus on what we can do, isn't he? Control the controllables and all that. But yeah, annoying, really annoying.
Nothing can we just have like an easy game at some point? Can we just play someone who's just rubbish and like the manager's still there? Like maybe not. Right. A couple of emails as well. McSquared pointed out there was half and half scarves on sale yesterday. I didn't notice if anyone bought one, but Nath, if you had bought one, maybe they would have let you go to whatever pub you wanted to, or just walked. You could have just shown them the Millwall bit. And then you could have given it to your dad, or you could use it as like a tablecloth at Christmas dinner or something. But yeah, he said McSquared says in discipline cost us an almost certain rare win against our biggest bogey side. I'm pretty sure that the majority of Millwall fans will admit it's extremely unlikely that they would have equalised if it hadn't been for the sending off. But he did say Ramsey's been one of our key players for some time now. All players are capable of making silly mistakes from time to time. Therefore, his red card should be put in perspective. He says that Carey, Apter and TC were good. Jones and Edwards both solid. He said he thought Kelman once again looked like a fish out of water. Miles made a much greater impact when he came on. It was interesting. Like I say, I thought Kelman was better yesterday, but not everyone's going to say the same thing, I guess. Yeah, Dean on the Wilder said thing saying, why would you keep going back to your girlfriend after she keeps dumping you with the Sheffield United thing? It is like it's obviously the same ownership, isn't it? Managers want to work, and he's a Sheffield United manager. He wants to work there. I guess there is an element of you can go back and say, yeah. Did you enjoy that, you little fling with Ruben Sellers? Did you? I'm back now. But there we go. Right. Len says, I don't think I'm alone with this. Millwall deserve nothing from the game. We were all over them like a rash. That's what Len thought of yesterday's game. Yeah, Brian talking about this incident near the Sam Bartram gate. It was two poor stewards there. I'm guessing the rules are that you can't lock that gate, because if there's an emergency egress need to happen, you need to be able to open it. So I don't know for certain though. Maybe you can lock it and just have someone with a key, but it just feels like it's a potential flashpoint that wasn't really thought about yesterday, because there was only two stewards, and then when the video I saw, they were being put under real pressure, from fans on both sides of the gate were getting involved. But yeah, that feels a bit silly. It ends up with Millwall fans ending up in the Charlton ends, where what is mainly a family orientated stand. So that's something the club, I'm sure, will want to have a look at after yesterday. And Gary says the club really needs to look at it. What happened after those games with the Millwall fans charging through to get to our fans? They should be kept in for an hour. Because I'm sure this would happen in the reverse fixture. Richard said absolutely gutted not to have held on for the win yesterday. After Kaminsky made the very good save from the first shot, the defence parted like the Red Sea, and the Millwall player had an easy finish. Interesting comments from their manager after. He said that they were on top, so he withdrew a striker and put on an extra midfielder. I think maybe Nathan needs to look at changing things up in response to the opposition. This was before the sending off. 5 points from 5. We need to do better, but still think there are 3 worse teams than us, I hope. Thanks for being there. All the best. That's from Richard. And then he just points out, he just sent another email about Wilder coming back ahead of next weekend's game, which is strange timing. Yeah, Big Dom's asking why Millwall fans weren't kept behind in the ground until after the Charlton fans had left. So, I mean, my understanding is that it's not, the club can't make the decision. It's all up to the police. And like I say, there's clearly some things that didn't work yesterday, Tom. I don't know if you got involved in any situation coming out of the ground or anything like that. Was it just a case of you just had to walk the long way around yesterday?
Yeah, it was that. And as I put in our little chat, it was just, I didn't have the booze cruise that Nath managed to get after the game, but it was genuinely, it could have been very, very dangerous, because we all got funneled out, as you say, you come out the north and turn right and go up past the east stand. Then when you get to that road, either whether you're going up the hill to the village or down, like the fact that there was cars there going both ways, by the way, on a road where there's parked cars anyway. So at best you're getting one car going up or down, but just stuck. And yeah, it only takes one idiot who's a bit annoyed that they're having to wait or stamps on the accelerator or takes his foot off the brake and rolls back down the hill or something, because there's so many people down there. It could genuinely have been dangerous, and they were lucky to avoid something serious happening. And that's just poor policing. It's as simple as that. Like, there are better ways to do that. I understand you've got to keep the fans separate or whatever, but there's got to be a better way to do it. It was, yeah, really, really poor.
Excellent. Right, Joe says we should sack Nathan Jones this week and then rehire him twice this week so we have a double new manager bounce ahead of the game up at Sheffield United. Well, that's one way we can sort of try and counteract the fact that Sheffield United look like they're going to have a new manager bounce / old manager bounce ahead of next weekend's game. Right, we've run out of time on this week's Charlton Live. Thanks for all of you who've joined us in the chat this morning as we look back at the 1-1 draw with Millwall. Don't forget, check out our merchandise store, charltonlive.etsy.com, if you want a Charlton Live mug. And subscribe to our YouTube channel and any podcast apps where you see us so you never miss another show. We will be back on Thursday where we'll be looking ahead to the game against Sheffield United and talking about the rehiring of Nathan Jones after we sack him and rehire him to get the new manager bounce. Tom and Nath, thanks for your time this morning. Nathan, I order you to go to the pub.
Not again. Not another one.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers, boys.
Lovely stuff. Thanks for your time this morning. So I'm Louis Mendes. This has been Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. Thanks for your time. We'll see you again on Thursday.